What's up, everybody? Appreciate you for tuning in to On the Ball podcast. Hopefully, you had a great Christmas. You're getting ready for New Year's, and 2026 is right around the corner. But we got another show ahead for you. We're going to talk some NBA. We're going to talk some NFL, obviously. Talk about, potential problem the NBA is trying to fix. We're going to talk about the Pro Bowl, the voting. Was anybody left off that needed to be on? And looking back at Week 17, plus the playoff picture where there's still two spots left open. We'll discuss all of that. But before we get into all that, got to introduce the crew. We have a new addition. Gonna start with him. He's a Giants fan. You see him rocking it head to toe. Ian, how you doing tonight?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Can't complain. Best time of the day on here talking some sports. And obviously, upper left, host the Meaty Boys. You see him on And One. You see him sometimes in the morning on Coffee and Sports. He's not guarding the 2. He's guarding the 3. Brett, how you doing?
I am doing great. Had a great Christmas. Got some great gifts. So thank you everybody who gave me some gifts this year. At least Christmas was good. The Packer game was awful to watch, but you know what? I'm here, so let's cook.
All right. I mean, not everybody got a win this past weekend. We will talk about the game in a little bit, but I want to start with the NBA because it seems like every year now, for whatever reason, it becomes a story about NBA tanking, whether it's a problem, what you can do to fix it. And we learned through Shams Charania and a few others reporting that the league are having discussions behind the scenes about ways to curb tanking. Now, they're looking at everything from not allowing teams in the top 4 consecutive years to kind of locking the incentive-laden picks where it's like top 4 or top 14 and higher, and even locking in the lottery positions after March 1st. That's kind of what they're discussing. I guess my first question is, do you think tanking is an issue, or is it just that some of these teams are just bad? They're not even tanking. They just stink. I mean, Ian, what are your thoughts on tanking? Is it a problem to you? Do they need to fix it?
Well, I personally think that tanking, especially in the NBA, it goes a little bit deeper than just saying a team stinks. We have players being sit out for health-related reasons that aren't necessarily health-related reasons. They're not injuries. They're just taking rest when they don't need to. Giannis has had a couple of games this year where he's taken rest when he doesn't need to, and the league has taken note of that, along with other people that have claimed injuries or sat out for rest reasons without injury designations. But there are some teams in this league that are just awful, and to kind of justify sitting out people and then trying to figure out, okay, well, who's just bad? That kind of looks at, okay, well, who's playing all their star players every game and is still losing? And I think that's kind of how you need to look at it. If you're the league, you need to find out, okay, with all their starters in, how are they performing? Looking at it that way versus, all right, well, they sat out Joel Embiid for 75 games of the year, or Giannis sat out 15 games and Bucks went on a 15-game losing streak. It all comes down to that, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that you bring up, is that some teams do it obviously strategically, because I think Shams said the league is paying attention to Utah of all teams because they have like a top 8 protected pick. So they want to see if they pull one of these, Lauri Markkanen has a back spasm or something, just to make sure they fall in the top 8 so they can keep their pick. And I don't blame them for doing that, because when you look at the product, the last thing you want is late in the season when games should be meaningful, teams aren't taking it seriously. But Utah's been... So Yeah, Utah's been competitive. I feel like that's why they're saying they want to see, like, will they be competitive to a point and then go, oh crap, we're about to fall out of the top 8. Let's now pull it back a little bit. But Brett, look, I'm sure you and Mo have discussed this before with the tanking and everything. What are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's a problem? Do you even think it's a problem that could be fixed?
It's
What's up,
I don't think it's a
Carmine?
problem that can be fixed. I think if a team wants to tank, they're gonna, they're gonna do it. I just think the examples they're using are funny. Like, you can be competitive and still suck, right? Like,
Mhm.
I don't think any of us, for example, using an NFL example, I don't think any of us would call the Saints a good team, but they've been competitive all year. I don't
Yeah.
think that necessarily makes them a good team, but they're competing. Utah's the same way. They'll compete, but Utah's not losing games because they're tanking. They just suck. They don't have the talent to compete with these other teams quite yet. I think this whole idea of tanking is quite a bit of an overreaction.
Hmm.
I don't really think it's that big of a deal. Like it is what it is. If you try to set like an arbitrary deadline, like March 31st, or whatever you want, or March 1st, teams are going to find a way to tank before then. You're not going to stop. You're not going to stop the tank. It's just going to adapt. So if these teams want to, at the end of the day, I don't think tanking is as big of a problem as they're making it out to be, especially when they're using examples like Utah. Come on now, they're just bad. They're not tanking. They're just bad.
Right. I think another aspect of this, some of these front offices are poorly run. Like, you'll go through and look at some team's draft history and you'll wonder who was in charge of scouting. Or you'll see teams will have players. I think I looked through a team favorite of the show, the Washington Wizards. I looked at some of the guys that they drafted who are performing on other teams, and you go, yeah, that's why Washington is bad. They're not making the right decisions. Danny Avdia is averaging like 30 a game for the Blazers. Why couldn't he do that in Washington? Well, I guess because they have Bradley Beal blocking him. Well, Bradley Beal's not there either. Jarris Walker, they drafted him. He's a contributing member on the Pacers right now. Why couldn't he do that in Washington? So when you look at that, it's like, so some of these teams are tanking and then not making the right decisions. What are you tanking for? So I feel like that's not tanking. They just stink. They don't have the right people making the right decisions. I live in Atlanta. They're still trying to convince me the Trae Young for Luka trade was a 1-for-1 and an even trade. So be that as it may, wonder why the Hawks haven't won anything in a while. I think it's hilarious that we're treating tanking like the worst thing in sports. Tank all you want. If you don't make the right decision, that's a bigger problem for me. What's going on, Jory?
Yeah, say it. Like, we can give teams the number one pick, but it doesn't mean they're going to make the right one.
Yeah.
A good example for that, it's ironically the Hawks. They just drafted, Zachary Ricochet, in the 2014 draft at number 1, and they're already talking about moving him potentially because he's not developing like they wanted to. So it just goes to show that it's not a tanking problem; it's just a front office problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who knew? Ricochet, who's basically the same build as Jalen Johnson, wouldn't fit. I don't know.
Not
Look at
well.
James Wiseman. He was just released from, I think, the Pistons the other
Yeah,
day. It's like his third team already. And remember, Golden State took him. He didn't work there. So it's just.
we know we know Ricochet was cooked when he goes. In France, I was such a great athlete. Here, I'm just another guy. I'm like, you're calling yourself a jag. That's kind of a you're kind of on the downswing already.
Yeah. Since Trey came back, they won the game. But look, Curran, Jory, who you saw in the chat, we've talked about that Fridays on Passion and Precision. Trey is like an untouchable in Atlanta for whatever reason, although now it seems like they're getting to the point where they want to move him. I'm
Ironically,
like, you're probably like 3 years too late, but hey, better late than never for me.
I still find it ironic that the deal that they're talking about moving him in is for Anthony Davis. I'm like, wait. So the end result is of the Luka Trae Young trade is Trae Young is the point guard for the Dallas Mavericks. That is the greatest thing ever.
Right. And the AD thing is because Porzingis is now still dealing with that illness. So oft injured Porzingis they want to replace with oft injured Anthony Davis. And why the Hawks a perennial play-in team? Because of decisions like that. Jory says, I'll take Ricochet, get Vincent off my team. Okay. Oh, of course. And LeBron, yes. I'm surprised you didn't add Bronny as well, Jory. But I think it's kind of known at this point. All right. Well, okay, so I guess one word answer before we move on. Is tanking fixable?
No.
No.
I feel the same way. I was hoping someone was going to say yes. I was going to say how, but I just don't know how you do it. All I'm going to throw out there, my idea again, let the losing teams play in a tournament for the number one pick, because at least we'll get to see them earn the number one pick instead of debating, ping pong balls and whether it's rigged or not. Like, I'm kind of over that argument as well.
It'd be kind of fun to watch.
That's what I'm saying. Look, I be coming up with these random ideas. I feel like one of these leagues needs to bring me in for like an hour, and I'll get it done.
Say it would be fun too. We might get some G Leaguers up there because the vets on those teams are going to be like, I'm not playing in this tournament.
Right?
That's how we get guys like Victor Oladipo back in the league.
Yeah, I don't need to see Trae Young launching 45-footers for a number one pick. Like, let somebody else do it. Mo says off injured AD is much better than KP. That is true. But the team is out of contention by March. It should be time to tank. But some of these teams can't even tank right. That's the problem. That's what gets me. Is like you tank for a number one or a number two pick, and you find a way to mess that up. That should be the easy part of the job. I don't know. I don't know who's running these teams, but we'll go from that to the Pro Bowl. We know the Pro Bowl games are coming up in a couple of weeks. We all love it. Get rid of that game. Let's do a little flag football with some mini games. Yeah, it's like Madden come to life. So we got the voting and everything. We know who the Pro Bowl rosters are. Let's quickly talk about, I guess, who was snubbed, who maybe doesn't deserve a Pro Bowl spot. We'll see. So I'll start. AFC, the quarterbacks are Josh Allen, Herbert, Drake May. Any contention with any of the three?
Yes.
Okay.
Not a big fan of Herbert being in there this year. I think Herbert has actually not had that great of a year. He's been really slow going. I mean, he did have a great first couple of weeks in the league, or this year, not in the league. And from there, it's just kind of been getting him going every week has been the Chargers' struggle. And that's where the defense has picked up so heavily for this team and has gotten them to 11 wins is all because of their defense and how tough their defense is playing. I mean, granted, yes, their offense does start to click eventually, but in the first two quarters, it takes a bit for Herbert to get going. I think, in my opinion, I think that Trevor Lawrence has had a great year. He probably should have gotten the nod over Herbert, but that's just my opinion.
And Mo agrees with you. Okay. So, Brett, are you along the lines of Ian, or are you okay with the three they picked?
No, I think Trevor Lawrence probably should have been in over Herbert. I think the Chargers offense obviously sometimes does struggle to get going, but I think that's going to happen when you're missing your two Pro Bowl bookend tackles. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to use it as an excuse to put Justin Herbert over what Trevor Lawrence has done this year. So I think Trevor Lawrence deserves the nod and a Pro Bowl spot.
Okay. I mean, to be honest with you, when they announced the three, I didn't really think about Trevor Lawrence. I feel like looking at it now, they seem interchangeable to me. Like they picked Herbert. I feel like I'm okay with it. If they'd picked Trevor Lawrence, I wouldn't have made the argument for Herbert either. So, yeah, I feel like the third spot, whatever. You can go with either one for me. But I guess totality, you'd probably say the Jags have probably had the better season. It is a quarterback driven league. So maybe Lawrence does deserve it over Herbert. Fine with that. I mean, I can go through like every position, obviously, because if you want to discuss tackles and guards, like that part, I don't care. Like, sure. Running back, we have Jonathan Taylor, Devon Achan, James Cook. Any arguments?
No.
They've all been electric. I'll take it.
Okay. Let's see. Patrick Ricard's the fullback. He's probably the only fullback in the AFC. So
I will say we will need to discuss linebackers because there's a big snub on linebackers, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, yes, we can do that. Wide receiver Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, Zay Flowers, Cortland Sutton. Any arguments?
I think there's that. You know, Kyle. You know exactly who.
Yes.
Zay Flowers has more fumbles than touchdowns this year. Like, what are we doing with that one? Like, he's been a big play guy. I'll give him some credit for that, but at the end of the day, he can't hold on to the football. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't think Zay Flowers should be a Pro Bowler.
Who would you replace him with?
Zay Tulips is crazy. It is tough because he did have a 1,000-yard season, a couple touchdowns, but say you can almost go you can even almost go with someone like, I didn't even think about this part, but I think you could go even someone like, hey, what's good, T3 and D? I almost said T Higgins, but I think that might be a little too far in the wrong direction.
So you could almost go Stephon Diggs because of what Stephon has been able to do for the Patriots this year. He had 970 yards, 4 touchdowns, gave Drake May a reliable option.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue against that.
I know you're not. Yeah.
I mean, I agree. Look, I think Diggs, even throwing in the fact that he's coming off the ACL injury and everything like that, and he's played every game so far, like, and he's been that number one guy. I probably would have gone with Stephon Diggs too.
Yeah, I'll say it. Say, I don't know. Yeah, say it. At the end of the day, I'd almost even rather take a guy like T over Zay Flowers, who has a lot more touchdowns, but he has less yards. But I like the work that T has done. But it just feels weird, right? Having Zay Flowers in there, just watching him kind of struggle with these like fumble issues, and it just, he doesn't feel like he belongs. But also, it's hard to pinpoint someone who should really replace him at times.
What's up, Reed Dion?
James
I'm
Cook
kind
has
of
been
crazy.
terrific.
Zay Flowers is a Pro Bowler and Derrick Henry is it. Probably tells you why the Ravens are where they are, but I'm beating that drum way too much. Tight end, we got Brock Bowers and Travis Kelce.
I'm kind of confused at how Tyler Warren got overlooked a little bit. Brock Bowers, he's been in and out all year this year. And I mean, Kelce really hasn't had a terrific season. He's had a good season for himself, but I don't know. I think Tyler Warren or Harold Fannin would have been good additions over Brock Bowers. Both have had great seasons, both rookies. I mean, Harold Fannin dealt with how many quarterbacks this year? Three different quarterbacks? And gotten love from all 3 of them.
And let's be real with Travis Kelce. There you go, Jory. You said it, not me. That was just straight up Swifties and fan vote. Like, Travis Kelce has not been one of the best tight ends this year. Like, say you mentioned Tyler Warren. I would take Warren over him. I think I would, like I said, I prefer almost like I said, Tyler Warren in the Pro Bowl over him. It's not that. So here's the thing with Kelce. It's not like he's been terrible per se, but he's just clearly not Travis Kelce anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He's lots of step. Like, he's still productive, but to say that he's one of the top tight ends in the league at this point in his career, to quote the great Tony Romo, I don't know, Jim.
Right. I mean, look, it kind of seems like it's a career appreciation type thing with him because the assumption is this is his final year. I guess we'll see if that's true or not. But yeah, you look around, you would think Warren, yeah. I feel like Fannin has kind of come on late. That kind of makes it seem like he would be a better option. Maybe it's just that he didn't do it the whole time. He is in Cleveland. Cleveland had a tough year. Lisa Warren, like the Colts were really good for a while, and then like they kind of flamed out. But yeah, I could see either one of them over Kelce. But like George said, Swifties are out here strong, so Travis gets in. Let's see. Defense, let's go to that side of the ball. DN, we got Will Anderson, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby. That seems like 3 no-brainers there.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Josh Hines Allen from the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
I'd almost rather take out like one of these like random offensive positions. Like, there we go. Let's take out like Zay Flowers or Travis Kelce and add an extra defensive spot because I think Hines Allen deserves some love this year.
I mean, they do take like 3 tackles and 3 guards. Do we necessarily need 3 of those positions? Probably not, but I wouldn't be mad about that. Let's see. D tackle, Chris Jones, Jeffrey Simmons, Zach Allen.
Shut up, Jeffrey Simmons. He's a beast.
Well, he lost weight and he became even more dominant. I was right about the Colts. Yes. You absolutely were, Jory. You were on this well before any of us.
Say who are the tackles again? Is this the AFC or is this both?
This is AFC. Chris Jones, Jeffrey Simmons, Zach Allen.
I think the only one you can really argue that had a Pro Bowl year that you could sneak in over them maybe is like Cam Hayward. I thought he was terrific for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, but overall I'm fine with it. Like I'd maybe put Cam Hayward over Chris Jones, but
okay. Yeah, splitting hairs. All right, linebacker. This is where you said you had some contention. So outside linebacker, we have Nick Benito, T.J. Watt, the Chargers dude, I don't know, the Thule dude. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm not going to try. And then middle linebacker, we have Roquan Smith, and man of the year, Azeez Al-Shaair.
Man of the year is wild.
So who's the one that you have a problem with, Brett?
I think you can take any one of them out because I think the best linebacker in the league this year, Devin Lloyd of the Jacksonville Jaguars. The fact that he didn't get in is atrocious. Mm-hmm. Quite frankly, he should be an All-Pro, first team, no question about it to me. He has multiple interceptions. This is a guy who also helped ice the game with a 99-yard pick six. He has when it comes to pressure rate, 26% for a linebacker. That's really freaking good. So he's been great rushing the passer. Through a lot of tackles. Like, he's great in the run game. He's been great in coverage. He's been great rushing the passer. Like, to me, Devin Lloyd has been the best linebacker in the league this year. And the fact that he didn't get in is atrocious. So you know what? Take any one of them out. I don't care. Probably go with, maybe Roquan or Azeez, whatever you want to do. But I think in all reality, you can take any one of them out. and get Devin Lloyd in there because it's a disgrace that he isn't in there.
Derrick Henry ended up with over 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, and Flowers gets the nod. Yeah, hey, Mo, you're preaching to the choir. I mean, Ian, you kind of agree that I guess the fans missed a chance with Devin Lloyd, or are you okay with the linebacker as a whole?
No, I've been watching Devin Lloyd pretty closely this year. I've got him on one of my Dynasty League teams, and he's been balling out all year. And when I saw that list, I thought the same thing. There's no way that this guy doesn't make the Pro Bowl, and he didn't. So I'm not really a big fan of Roquan Smith. He doesn't really get a whole lot of tackles. I think he's overhyped. And you can replace him with either one, honestly.
I think Roquan's just at the point where even as he eventually he starts to decline, he's probably going to get in a bunch because everybody knows his name. I think he's going to get a ton of these with like legacy awards, but yeah, the fact that he's in over Devin Lloyd is wild to me.
Yeah, I feel like we also have to understand the Ravens are a popular team. Whatever reason, Lamar, Derrick Henry, they're popular, so their guys are going to get in. It's the world we're in. You go on social media, you can't go too far without finding somebody from Flock Nation, pumping their guys up. It's a great question, Jory. They haven't exactly done anything with the popularity, but they're popular for whatever reason. And as you look through the Pro Bowl starters, you realize the Jags actually are kind of underrepresented. I mean, that's somebody who's not a big Trevor Lawrence fan or anything like that, but all they got was a long snapper. That seems like a slap in the face. Like, hey, we'll give you one. We'll give you the long snapper. Like that's kind of crazy. But turn my favorite running back into a whiny crybaby. Hey, that's Baltimore. That's what they do. Corner, we have Derek Stingley, Pat Surtain, Christian Gonzalez, Denzel Ward, who Aaron Rodgers knows well as he tested him 4 times at the end of the game there. But any problems with the cornerbacks? Because nobody likes the Jags. Yeah.
Let's say I think you can argue that I almost feel like the Texans secondary is underrated, and I think you can go multiple ways with it. I think Jalen Petrie for them has been excellent from the cornerback position. Mm-hmm. But overall, that is a terrific list of corners. I don't necessarily have many qualms with it, but it just feels like somebody like extra from this Texan secondary should be in there, unless, say, because they've been excellent for him so far this year.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. Ian, any issues with the corners?
No, but like Brett said, yeah. I mean, the Texans have had probably, I think, the number 1 pass defense, and it would be cool to see some of them get some love other than Stingley, because it hasn't been just Stingley. I mean, you've got Kamari Lassiter over there that's been doing a great job filling in, and Petrie's been doing good too. So,
yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with how good the Texans defense is. If want to argue some other guys in, I think that makes a lot of sense. Safeties, we got Jalen Ramsey, Kyle Hamilton, Derwin James. I mean, the switch to safety has definitely helped Jalen Ramsey. He was getting kind of cooked at corner. Hamilton, I'll look. I don't like the Ravens, but Hamilton is a guy I respect. I think he's really good at his position. He does a lot for Baltimore's defense. And Derwin James, when he's on the field, he's a top safety in the AFC, if not the league. But you guys have any issues with those 3?
I don't, personally.
I don't either.
All right. He's still cooked, but cooked a little less as a safety. You're asking him to do a little bit less. Let's see. You got Jordan Stout as the punter. Dicker the kicker is your kicker for the Chargers. And, Jory's in the chat. Her guy DK is the return specialist, and then Skoranek as the special teamer. Philip Rivers is a pro. Hey, he made it through 3 games with that granddad body. Like, hey, spot. Almost won a couple of games. All right, let's go NFC. Let's see. The quarterbacks, we have Matt Stafford, Sam Darnold, Dak Prescott.
I think someone's getting a little overlooked in this one. He's had a terrific bounce back year. Not trying to discredit any of the other quarterbacks that have been in there, but Caleb Williams, as much as I do not like Caleb Williams, he's had a fantastic year. He's made some great throws, made some great fourth quarter comebacks, 6 on the year, and really made the Bears a playoff contender this year. And maybe he gets in over Darnold just because I feel like Darnold has to rely on the defense a little bit more than Caleb does. But I like the list. I just maybe Caleb got overlooked a little bit.
Am I too much of a homer if I say Jordan Love?
Hey, you say Jordan Love, you gotta bring up the conversation. Is he great? Is he mid? Is like what is Jordan Love? He hasn't done in the playoffs. You know, the conversations this year around Jordan Love have been so widespread. I honestly don't know what the overall view is like on Jordan Love anymore.
At the end of the day, Jordan Love, by all advanced metrics, has been a top 5 quarterback this year. He's been terrific for Green Bay all year. And he doesn't put up the prolific stats that a lot of other quarterbacks do. Matt LaFleur likes to run a more run-heavy offense utilizing Josh Jacobs. And even when Jacobs out, we saw him use a lot of like Emmanuel Wilson. So I just think that he gets overlooked because there's this idea that he's turnover prone. And it's hilarious to me. He's only thrown 6 interceptions all year. Like, he's done a great job taking care of the football over the last, couple, even over the last, year and a half or so. Obviously everyone's going to point to that 3 interception game against Philly, but, the entire offensive line died and we're down our top 3 receivers, so I'm not concerned about it. At the end of the day, this is a guy who, even if you want to argue that he isn't a Pro Bowler, if you want to say the run game takes too much away from him, whatever. I just think that Jordan Love should get more respect than he does.
Okay. Hey, sit there and promote your guy. I'm a Jordan Love guy, so I get it. Let's see, running back Jahmyr Gibbs, CMC, Bijan. I feel like that's a pretty safe group there.
Oh, fair.
Use check at fullback. I mean,
he might be the only fullback in the NFC, so by default, he's just a Pro Bowler every year.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Wide receiver, Puka Nacua, JSN, Pickens, and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I don't know who I would replace him with, but Olave's had a great year as well. I think he had 1,100 receiving yards, a couple of touchdowns. He's been pretty good, especially as of late for the Saints, getting them to win games. I think the Saints have won 4 in a row now. And what started to look like a dumpster fire again for them this year, Tyler Shuck came in and turned it around, really using Olave as their number 1 guy, even without Shaheed there because they dealt him away. But Olave still found a way to get open, and I guess those concussions really aren't hurting him too much.
That's a good point. Olave's had I guess under the radar season because of how the Saints season has gone up until lately. But yeah, I agree with that. He's had a good year.
Say Tyler Shuck's going to be offensive rookie of the year, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, I mean, my guy Trayvon Henderson, but whatever.
I like what Trayvon's done, but I genuinely think the best offensive rookie this year has been, and the most consistent, has been Tyler Shuck. Ever since he stepped into that starting lineup for the Saints, man, he's just consistently good to great for them. So, and when you're dealing with the quarterback play that the Saints have over the last couple of years, even if he's consistently good, the 15th best quarterback in the NFL, if you're the Saints, you're doing backflips because that is just great quarterback play compared to what you've had in recent history.
Who knew? All my joking with Will, get Shuck in there. He looks like the better quarterback they had on the roster. They tried Rattler. Rattler had a good couple of weeks, but yeah, Shuck has definitely put him in better positions to win more consistently. So,
I would say, of course, wide receiver snub, Cody Ford of the Bengals. By the way, I'm kidding. He's an offensive lineman, but if anybody hasn't seen it, go watch his one reception he had this week. It was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kept his feet in bounds. He got yards after the catch.
Broke like 3 tackles.
You know he's got to be like banging on the door like, we get in the red zone, put me in, tackle eligible. Give me some throws in the end zone. Let's see. D-end for the NFC, Aiden Hutchinson, Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence. A scary group right there. Hopefully, well, obviously Micah being hurt, I guess he'll have to be replaced, but he was having a great season for Green Bay.
Yeah, unfortunately, Green Bay lost out on 2 Pro Bowlers. It would have been Micah, and the tight end spot for sure would have been Tucker Kraft, but yeah, I don't have any problems with the ends.
Okay. Let's see. D tackle, Jalen Carter, Leonard Williams, Quinnen Williams.
I think that there actually is somebody who got overlooked this year. Give me Derek Brown of the Carolina Panthers. I think he's been a massive reason for the position that they're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just an absolutely terrific guy. We were talking about a guy who's setting a career high in sacks. He's consistently getting into the backfield, causing some pressure. It's great in the run game. I would almost make an argument that you could put in Derek Brown even over someone like, it might sound crazy, but you can put him in over someone like Jalen Carter, and I'd be okay with it. Or Quinnen Williams. I genuinely think you could replace either one of those guys, and I'd be fine with it, because I think Derek Brown is very deserving of a Pro Bowl nod.
All right, that's fair. I guess, Ian, you have any issues with that group?
No, I do like the play that Derek Brown has had this year as well. I mean, he's been, like Brett said, very consistent. Big reason why that their defense has been able to do the things that they've been able to do this year and keep it close.
All right. Let's see. Linebacker, got Brian Burns, Jared Verse, Byron Young, Jack Campbell, Zach Bond. I mean, I know, Ian, you're not going to argue against Brian Burns. We know that.
No.
But yeah, how's that linebacking group look to you guys?
I think it looks great.
Yeah.
Let's see. Corner, J.C. Horn, Devin Witherspoon, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. So both corners from the Eagles get it. Any problem there?
I don't know. It's just I'd have to look and see. Like off the top of my head, I'm like, I don't have a problem, but also it just feels weird that both Eagles corners made it. But granted, that defense has been locked down, so like, I'm fine with it. I'll give the Eagles secondary some credit, a lot of credit for them being in the position that they're in. The offense struggled for most of the year. It was the defense that kept them in the position that they're in. So I'm cool with them getting love for what they've done.
Okay. Seemed like you were thinking about somebody who might need to get it. Like, who were you thinking about? Or was just the fact that the two of them got in, you were wondering if they both.
I was trying to think, but I at the end of the day, I think I'm fine with it. I think somebody that people are going to name is Nashawn Wright of the Chicago Bears has been an interception machine.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, he's got Trayvon Diggs syndrome, and I'm not necessarily a fan of that. I'll take the more consistent coverage. I think Nashawn Wright's been a terrific playmaker on the outside. The feedback, obviously, like you can get massive chunk plays. Like he picks a lot of balls off, but he's also given up a ton of touchdowns. So I think I'll take the more steady and consistent play of DeJean and Mitchell over who I think the next man up would be, and I believe that would probably be right.
Yeah, you good with the group, Ian?
Yeah, I'm good with the group.
All right. Safety: Kevin Byard, Antoine Winfield, Buda Baker. Buda Baker's still getting it done.
Yeah.
I guess you guys are good with that one too.
It's one of those things. I'd love to see my guy Xavier McKinney in that group, but overall, I'm not mad at the group. I think X had a quiet year because people learned last year not to throw his way. So
That's fair. Hey, that's what Sauce Gardner is telling us all on social media. Nobody threw at him. That's why, whatever. The stat about him is hilarious, though. He was Jets. They're 1-7. Gets traded to the Colts, and I think the Colts went 1-7 while he was there. Clearly, he's the bad omen. That's just crazy to me. Special teams, like I said, don't need to argue these, but John Weeks with the Niners, Tress Way, Commanders, Brandon Aubrey with the Cowboys, Rashid Shaheed with the Seahawks, and Luke Gifford from the 49ers. Okay. So we did, like you guys did mention people who you thought should have gotten in over the guys who were named. So I guess if I said who was the biggest snub, who would you say?
Daniel Whelan, punter. No, I'm kidding. I think I'm going Devin Lloyd of the Jaguars. To me, he's the biggest snub of the Pro Bowl.
All right.
I would have to agree with Devin Lloyd being the biggest snub.
Okay.
So,
I would, raise my hand for my own guy, Marcus Jones, but DK being the return specialist, I'm okay with that.
I'd say I think I'd maybe sneak in Xavier McKinney over Buda Baker, but like I said, I think for the most part it's a fine list. There's just some misses and just some that are picks that are utterly hilarious.
I mean, that's what we get with any all-star voting, especially dealing with fans. It doesn't matter if it's NFL, NBA, whatever. There's always names that are just like, all right, fans, I get it. You picked the names that you knew, but let's stop doing that and actually put guys in who had great years. Because we always know with the NBA one, especially, it was like, was it last year when like Austin Reeves for a little bit was like the highest vote getter, and I was just like, I get the Lakers are a big brand, but let's calm down.
Well, like when it was 100% fan voting, it was always really bad. They're like, all right, guys, 2014 Kobe's an all-star. Like, for example, in the NBA, it's like, brother, he's out with an Achilles injury. He's out with a knee injury. What do you mean he's an all-star? Like, I think it was like 07's like, Yao Ming's an all-star. It's like, Yao also has a knee injury. Why is Yao in this thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is what it is. And look, probably next week or so, we'll probably look at the NBA voting because they did do their first returns. And I'm always fascinated with NBA fans because they are the ones that make you wonder how much weight fans should actually get in voting. But it is, the All-Star games and all that are for the fans, so I get it. Just do a little better with your vote. All right, so let's go. Week 17, there's a couple of games with playoff implications I want to talk about, before we get out of here in like 20 minutes. But I want to start with Eagles-Bills because everybody's talking about the decision late in that game. Eagles dominated the first half, even though the scoreboard didn't show it. They went into the half 13-0 lead. Then the second half, it was kind of uneventful until the fourth quarter. The Bills get a couple of scores. They score a touchdown. Jalen Carter blocks the extra point, and Jalen Carter got up there, so I got to give him credit for that. Bills score late in the game, have a decision to make. They go for two. Josh Allen rolls out to his left. Shakir was open. Josh Allen just missed the throw. And that loss obviously gave the division to the Patriots. And, now today, Monday morning quarterback, everybody's like, oh, I wouldn't have done it. Some people are saying they would do it. Where are you on that decision? Are you okay with them going for two, especially knowing that the Eagles only had 17 yards of offense in the second half. So the defense was doing something. Like, would you have just played it out and gone into overtime, take your chances, or are you okay with going for two? I'm going to start with you, Brett.
Say, it's easy. They made the right decision, right? Like, you drew up a play where you literally had Shakir wide open for the easiest pitch and catch touchdown of your life if you make the correct throw. And Josh Allen hits that throw 9 times out of 10. That just happened to be the 1 time out of 10 he didn't. I'm not a big fan of judging a decision all completely by the result. I like judging it by like the process. Okay, you're going to go for 2. What formation did you come out? What was the defense in? What was the play call? Did the play call make sense? Like, to me, that's important, right? People want to judge it by, well, they didn't get it. Okay, did they get it because it was a bad play call? Was it just bad personnel? To me, Buffalo made the right call at the right time with the right personnel. They just didn't do the fourth part, execute. So I'm completely fine with the decision. I can live with it if I'm Buffalo, because at the end of the day, like, that's one you just wish you had back, and it wasn't a failed conversion because you just completely messed everything up. So I'm personally fine with the decision to go for 2.
Ian, where do you stand on this one?
I agree with Brett. I mean, they had the perfect play call drawn up. They just missed on the execution. And that's the thing that happens with quite a few teams throughout the league. I mean, you've got the right personnel out there. You've got the play drawn up. You're beating the defense. You've got a guy wide open, and you just don't execute. Like Brett said, too, it's not a matter about, oh, well, they didn't get it, so now we should judge it. No, they should have had it. It just didn't execute, which that's the issue, not that they went for 2. We won't know what would have happened if they just would have taken the extra point. I mean, they could have gotten blocked again. So it'd be the same point. Whereas if they go for the win, sometimes you just don't execute on plays. And unfortunately, that's one of these times as well.
Yeah, and I agree. I think the Jalen Carter block had something to do with it. I think the fact that the Eagles defense was playing well all day, the way the conditions were, overtime was no guarantee, and a tie in that game, if it did come down to that, does Buffalo no favors either. And look, they were a playoff team anyway. This was them trying to be aggressive, to put pressure on New England and force them to have to win next week to secure the division. So I don't have a problem with it, because look, the AFC, for what it is, it's a lot of teams in there that you don't really know how they're going to perform in January. If you're McDermott, you're Josh Allen, you're one of the teams that has playoff experience. So if you have to go on the road, that shouldn't be that big of a problem. So because of that, I had no problem with them going for 2. And, Brett, like you said, it's so easy that, once he misses it to go, well, why not just take the point and go into overtime? You got to think about it from Buffalo's standpoint, and you could definitely see why they did it. And like I said, the scheme worked. Like, Shakir was wide open. Josh Allen just threw it low and away. Let's see, another game I want to talk about. Sunday night, Niners-Bears. So I know, Brett, you were paying close attention to. Look, this game, I didn't necessarily know what to expect. I kind of thought it was going to be a little bit low scoring, and then it turned into a shootout, which was a lot of fun. Seeing Caleb Williams and Brock Purdy go at it, seeing Brock Purdy with the touchdown dance, then DeAndre Swift comes back, mocks the touchdown dance, and waves it off. I was like, okay, this is kind of stuff that if they met again in the playoffs, I would love to see once again the kind of back and forth with them. But looking at the two teams, the Niners now put themselves in a position that they face off against the Seahawks this week. And for the injuries and, the Mac Jones weeks, the Brock Purdy looking rusty when he came back, the Niners could be the number 1 seed in the NFC, which is kind of crazy. The Bears, if they win next week, will be the 2 seed. So I guess your thought on both teams, are the Niners a legit contender? Are they just a good story? And kind of the same thing with the Bears. Do you view them as a legit Super Bowl contender, or are they just a nice story this year?
Are the Bears a Super Bowl contender? No. I think what's going
A
to,
nice story.
and I promise you, this is not just me being a hater. What I'm going to say about the Bears, it's something I've kind of said about them all year. Their defense is very turnover reliant.
Okay.
Like, if they're turning the ball over, their defense looks elite. But as soon as their turnovers stop coming, then games kind of get out of hand for them and devolve into shootouts. Now I know people are going to be like, well, of course, you take away the thing that they're good at, and they're not as good. I'm still going to give the Bears defense credit. They've been great all year for them. I just don't trust them in the sense that I think in the playoffs, you're going to get a situation where offenses are going to make sure to take care of the football. They're going to play keep away. They're going to make sure this Bears defense isn't getting, all these turnovers. This is a defense that you can move the ball on. Mm-hmm. So I think that they're going to be competitive at every game. This is a very good Bears team, and I think they're going to be very game. But I think that this is going to be a team that survives wild card weekend unless they get matched up with Green Bay because we're going to smash them. And they kind of fall in the next round. 49ers, the 49ers could do it. The 49ers are they're hilarious because I don't know what to expect from them. Like, they're supposed to suck, and then now all of a sudden they're like contending for the best team in the NFC West, and then their offense was going to be rough because Ayuk's out, and they traded Debo, and now Purdy's winning shootout with wide receiver 1 Jawan Jennings. So I'm like, at this point, would it shock me if they ended up making it to like the NFC Championship game? No. Do I think they will? I don't think so, but at this point in time, this duo of Shanahan and Robert Saleh have almost proven that they can overcome anything. So I have some faith in the 49ers that they could potentially make a NFC Championship run because they've been defying the odds all year. Why not do it one more time?
So I guess, Ian, where are you with the Niners and the Bears in terms of Super Bowl contender versus just a nice story?
I'll say the Niners are a Super Bowl contender this year. I mean, they've had key injuries on defense. Mm-hmm. They've had Nick Bosa go out, Fred Warner go out. Their defense has looked awful sometimes. And then even with injuries to Brock Purdy, getting rid of Debo, they've somehow found a way to win 12 games this year. And they've just looked electric the past couple of weeks, and I got to give them credit for it. I mean, Shanahan's a great coach. Saleh's really come in there, and even with the injuries, has created a decent defense. I mean, they didn't look that great last night because of the shootout, but he found a way to win that game for them. Fortunately, it was due to Caleb's throwing, but they still have a very good team, and their defense can be stout. As far as the Bear goes, I can't see them being anything other than a nice story. I mean, they've against the Giants barely beat them 20-24. They've had a couple of close calls this year on teams that they should have easily beat, and like Brett said, they're very reliant on takeaways. Dennis Allen, I'm not really a big fan of his play calling ability. He likes to mix in these weird blitzes that just do not work for them. They don't get a lot of sacks on the quarterback. They do get pressure, but they're trying to pressure a quarterback and they don't contain them. So then the quarterback can run and get yards. So as long as Dennis Allen is there calling plays and is running their defense, I just think that they're going to be a nice story this year.
And I think I think if you're a Bears fan, you kind of take that. It's been a lot of years where, especially quarterback play hasn't been up to par. a lot of years the coaching hasn't been up to par. Ben Johnson's been good. Caleb Williams has been good. And I view the Bears kind of like the Patriots, where they're both still in like year one of this new phase with new coaching and new culture. So expectations could be a little bit out of whack because of their seeding, but I think for both teams, you kind of count both years as a win no matter what happens in the playoffs. So I think they're set up for the future, just like the Patriots are. Okay, the NFC South, the division that nobody wants. I look, I was so much on the Baker trade like 2 months ago. I thought they were going to run away, win the division easily. They don't. They've lost 7 out of 8. Carolina's been up and down. It's like they'll go ahead and knock off a really good team. You want to buy in, then they'll lose to like the Saints, and you go, oh, okay, Carolina. But Carolina's still young. So now we get a matchup Saturday afternoon. Bucks, Panthers, division on the line because neither team took care of business. Bucks lose to the Dolphins and Quinn Ewers. The Panthers lose to the Seahawks, which you can excuse, but I guess how do you handicap this? The game will be in Tampa Bay. Who do you have as the favorite going into the matchup, and who ends up winning this division? And also, something I learned from Sunday night, the Falcons who are eliminated can factor into this still, because if the Falcons win both games against the Rams and then the Saints, they would give the division to the Panthers even if the Panthers lose to the Bucks, because they'd have a 3-way tie, which would push the Panthers back to the top of the division because of tiebreakers. It's confusing. It's the NFC South. This is what the division is. So, yeah, how do you handicap the matchup on Saturday? Who has the upper hand? Who's the better team? Yeah, it's just a lot.
It feels like that either one of two things is going to happen. Either it's going to be a close game that the Panthers win, or that Mike Evans' 253 touchdown game is going to hit like a shotgun blast to the chest for poor Panthers fans. I don't know. Like, these are like two like teams that have been like tried their hardest to give the division to each other all year, and I guess I'll go with Carolina, but I don't feel good about it. Like, I'll go with that because Baker's been doing his best J.J. McCarthy impersonation for like 8 weeks now. Like, yeah, so I guess I'll go Carolina, but I think the hilarious outcome will probably end up being, because the Falcons hate, fun, they'll probably just win both games and then ruin everything anyway.
Right. That would be a crazy scenario. Bucks win, are in first place just for the Falcons to win and knock them out. Crazy. But yeah, Ian, who's the better team? Who do you have winning this division?
So I think the favorite probably for this week and next weekend would be Carolina. That offensive line for the Buccaneers has not looked good. It's pretty injury ridden. Their defense has just been allowing so much offense too that it's just really hard for Baker to even produce on offense because of how bad the offensive line is. He's got all the weapons in the world. They can't get the run game going because that offensive line is terrible. Bucky can't get going. Sean Tucker, Shad White, none of them. And you've got 5 wide receivers that can be contributors. You've got Jalen McMillan. You've got Mike Evans. You've got Emeka Egbuka. You got Chris Godwin. They've got the talent on offense. It's just, I think the issue comes down to play calling due to the offensive line being as riddled as it is. They need to scheme it open for quick throws for Baker, and that's the only way that they're going to be able to be competitive in this game, is if they scheme quick fits for wide receivers to get open and Baker to get comfortable in the pocket, because Baker has not been comfortable. So I think it's going to come down to that, but overall I do think the Panthers take that one.
I think I agree. I know Vegas has the Bucks as a 2.5-point favorite, but I just feel like the Panthers, even though the inexperience is there, they're another team that you kind of throw in with Bears, Patriots, like whatever they do, they've had a successful season. I just think it'd be more beneficial to them getting that playoff experience for Bryce Young, Ted McMillan, the young guys, the guys on defense like J.C. Horn. I think it'll be more beneficial to them. I think they are the better team right now, despite their inconsistencies. But I'm kind of pulling for them to win Saturday afternoon. Last division, I want to look at AFC North, another division that nobody seems to want to win. Steelers seemingly had the easiest opportunity, just beat the Browns and you get in. They couldn't do it. They lose 13-6. I'll still say the Fannin touchdown. Kyle Duggar had probably the worst angle, worst attempt at a tackle I've seen. And I saw that play and I was like, that's why New England moved off of him. Pass coverage is not his thing. And to completely whiff on a ball that was in the air for like 2 hours, I just don't get. Then, conversely, the Ravens go out, get a win over the Packers behind, former Pro Bowler Snoop Huntley, not Lamar. Although I will say Malik Willis played great. And now we have another setup where Sunday night we get Ravens, Steelers for the AFC North. Same thing as the NFC South. Who do you have as the better team going into this, and who ultimately gets that playoff spot? We'll start with you, Ian.
I think it's going to come down to which defense is actually going to show up for the week. Aaron Rodgers has looked pretty good some weeks, and then like this past weekend against the Browns, just did not look good, did not perform well either. And I know he's hurting because he doesn't have DK, and they really don't have weapons outside of that. But then you need Arthur Smith to actually come up with something for Aaron Rodgers to run and to get. They had no run game against Cleveland either, so they're gonna start getting that run going against Baltimore, and hopefully scheme fits open for the receivers that they do have. But I ultimately think that Baltimore takes this one, even with the absence of Lamar Jackson. I think that they've looked better. Their defense has looked a whole lot better than in previous weeks. Even without Lamar, I think that the Ravens come away with this one.
All right. Brett, you agree? Ravens, or are you going to take Rodgers and the Steelers?
I think that we should just kick both teams out of the playoffs and let's see what happens when we put Phillip Rivers in there, I guess. Sounds a more interesting idea, but who wins? Probably So this game is like really confusing to me because like the Ravens have been criminally underperforming anytime they have a chance in a big game like this all year. But obviously the Steelers have had chances to put the division away and refuse to do so. I'm going to go with the homer pick. I'll pick old man Rodgers to do it one more time and get one final playoff run in. It feels like though the most Ravens thing would be to win, get their fan base's hopes up again, be like, oh, you don't want to see us now, and then just get blown up by 40 in Buffalo in the first round. Or go to New England and get absolutely thrashed. So it feels like that. I'm going to go with the Steelers, but it wouldn't shock me if the Ravens got themselves walloped in the round one after getting their fan base riled up.
Look, I agree with you. I think when you look at Baltimore, they're a tale of two teams. Lamar plays, we end up looking at Derrick Henry's touches and wondering, where are they? Huntley plays, and Derrick Henry becomes automatically like the most valued player on their offense. Defensively, they were, I guess, okay against Green Bay. Because when you look at Malik Willis's line, the fact that he was able to do that against that Ravens defense kind of exposed some of the issues that they've had all year. He was beating them with his legs. He was moving around the pocket, creating extra time, and finding guys open downfield. Like I don't know who would win it, but I feel like the more I think about it, this would be the type of game that Baltimore would win because for whatever reason, DK Metcalf's not there. It's like Aaron Rodgers doesn't trust anybody else. And they also lost Darnell Washington, who Mike Tomlin told us broke his arm. He turned into kind of a reliable outlet because he's like 6'8", 400 pounds or something, just bowls over people. Like, I think that's the task now. A game you have to have in a big spot. Who does Aaron Rodgers actually trust in that wide receiver group? And if he doesn't trust anybody, they're going to lose. He's going to have to rely on somebody because their running game's not going to get it done. He's going to be in a big spot. Look, we saw it against Cleveland. Down near the goal line, they throw it 4 different times. He couldn't get anybody. And that's why they are now in the position that they are in. And Myles Garrett absolutely said they're prioritizing him instead of winning the game. And yes, it's a lot to ask of Arthur Smith.
I can tell you exactly who he's going to prioritize. We saw it last game. Valdez-Scantling had 9 targets in 2025 for some reason.
Yeah,
it's going to be a straight offense of Texas routes to Kenneth Gainwell, and if he gets in trouble, he's going to find the guy he's most comfortable with, and that answer right now is Marquez Valdez-Scantling. So I'm not going to be shocked at all if Scantling ends next week with like 10 targets.
And it could be a Ravens thing to let him get like 120 yards. Like that's where these teams are this year. I just don't know. It's tough. I think the last thing I'll ask is, we saw the schedule come out. I dread this moment the minute these games line up the way that they did. So the league decides to go with Bucks Panthers Saturday afternoon, Seahawks Niners Saturday night, Steelers Ravens Sunday night. Did the league screw this up? Because I've said Seahawks Niners should be the game that ends the season. It's for the number 1 seed. They're the better teams. It's a great way to end your season to lead into the playoffs. But they're going with the tried and true, AFC North. They'll have that video package with, Ray Lewis laying out people and all the great games of the years past. Do you think they messed this up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you're 100% correct. Like, not trying to watch 2 teams that are like trying their hardest to be mediocre close out the season. Like, you have the number 1 seed in the NFC on the line, and instead we're closing out the season with Snoop Huntley and I guess Aaron Rodgers throwing drag routes to Valdez-Scantling, and that just doesn't sound fun. Like, I'll watch it. And I'm sure it'll be entertaining some way. I'm sure it'll be some fights. It'll get chippy. Like, that'll be fun. But in terms of the actual better football game, Seahawks Niners, and I don't think it's even remotely close.
Yeah. The Ravens will probably have like Ed Reed and Ray Lewis on the sideline. Steelers will probably have like Joey Porter and whoever else, and it'll be a great nostalgia matchup. But for 2025. I don't need that to be the last game that I see. Ian, I saw you shake your head, so I'm assuming you agreed as well. Seahawks Niners should be Sunday night.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be a huge game for both teams. I know the Seahawks have come short in their first matchup against them, but I think that they're going to try to do everything that they can to secure that number 1 seed for them, and that's going to be a way better game than Steelers Ravens. It's, like you guys said, not even close.
And Reed brings up a good point. There's a chance Lamar might not play. So we're getting Huntley versus Aaron Rodgers. Yes. Because one-word answer, who does home field advantage matter more to, Seahawks or the Niners?
Seahawks.
I'd go with Seahawks.
Okay. I'm sure the Niners would love that week off because they are a banged up team. But yeah, that 12th man in Seattle, that is tough. All right. I mean, look, that's basically all that we had for you. Love the playoff talk because I do think it is fascinating. We have week 18. We still have so much up in the air. Like, we didn't necessarily talk about the wild card spots in both leagues. There's still a lot of moving around left there. Like right now, the Bills are the 7th seed in the AFC. They could end the season as the 5th seed. Those three teams could jumble around, and there's a chance the Texans could win the South and the Jags become a wild card team, which would be kind of crazy, but that's still an option. And the NFC, the only thing we know, Packers are the 7th seed. So Brett's Packers could, will they be that dangerous wild card team that upsets maybe the Bears? We heard Brett earlier say, if they get the Bears, the Packers will destroy the Bears. So you guys have it. You guys heard it. If it happens, Brett called it. Obviously, next week we'll look forward to Week 18 playoffs and everything. We'll talk more about that. NBA, like I said, we'll look at the NBA voting because remember it's USA versus the world this year. We'll see how the voting's going in that case and much more. So before we get out of here, Ian, appreciate you coming on for real. Like, this is a lot of fun. First show together. Anything you want to add before we get out of here?
No, just thanks for having me on this podcast, guys. I had a lot of fun.
All right. Love that. Brett, let them know what they can look forward to hearing a little bit over on Meaty Boys.
Yeah, you can catch up with us on Meaty Boys. We'll be talking AEW World's End, catching up with all the WWE news, and talking about our next week's show. We're going to have the Meaty Boys Awards show, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right. So make sure you come back next week. More from us, as I detailed some NBA, some NFL, and any other things that kind of get us talking. Appreciate all of you that were in the chat. Reed, Jory, let's see, don't want to miss anything. Mo, everybody else, 3&D. If you can check it out after the fact, definitely appreciate that. Make sure to give us a like, share us out, follow the network, catch all the great shows here on the network, as you'll see in the outro. But yeah, make sure you come back for another edition of On the Ball. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the games, and be ready to talk about them next week here on the show. For myself, Ian, Brett, not guarding the 2, guarding the 3, we're out of here. All right, see you all later.